Good morning. Hello. Thanks for having me. Just like any advocacy that I believe in, I feel like it's always important to make sure that you are expressing, well, really just your advocacy. You're making sure that you feel as though you are standing up for injustice and really just encouraging the well, I mean, just really justice and freedom for all oppressed groups and just all groups in general. And so to me, that was a way of showing my advocacy of that and my beliefs in freedom and justice and just rights for all people.
But you know, as I mentioned at the top, that there are many Jews and non-Jews who believe that that calls for the erasure of Israel, that is anti-Semitic. So what would you tell your Jewish colleagues, students, parents at the school who believe that you have called for those things through that message, and you were aware of how it would be interpreted when you included it in the email signature?
I think just like any political slogan or statement, it can have some controversy around it. But I think what's important is to go to its intended meaning. And the intended meaning is the freedom and justice for the Palestinians and just for oppressed people in general.
Zeta, let me read here from the Montgomery County School District email policies. Asks for employees to maintain professional email signatures and abstain from, quote, special stationery quotations or sayings as part of following email signatures there. Why is it appropriate to write any political political message in an email? She's at work. If this is what she believes outside of the school building, keep it there.
Well, here's the problem is that we had other teachers who were including political slogans in their email signatures at school, from Black Lives Matter to slogans revolving around the LGBTQ movement. And Hajed was the only one who was disciplined for her email signature. We're seeing a pattern right now where Arab and Muslim employees are having policies disproportionately applied to them, whereas other employees are not having those same policies applied to them. This is a way to punish Arab and Muslim employees who for their freedom and for their dignity. So that's why we filed this complaint, because Hajed was the only one who was negatively impacted by this policy. Her colleagues all participated in the same conduct.
So you're suggesting that it is because she is a black woman, she is a Muslim, that is why, according to the EEOC complaint, that she has been disciplined this way, that if a white man had written from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, he would not have faced the same consequence?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're getting complaints where there are people who are non-Muslim and non-Arab who are advocating for Palestinians, but the discipline that is being applied to them is significantly more minimal than the discipline that's being applied to people who are Arab and Muslim. Hajj's issue went from 0 to 100 really quick. I have seen people who are non-Arab, non-Muslim participate in the same conduct and they get a slap on the wrist. So policies really need to be applied equally and fairly to all employees.
The Montgomery County School District told us that you'll remain on administrative leave pending an investigation. Wouldn't discuss it more because this is a personnel matter. You've offered to remove this slogan from your email to go back into the classroom. That was denied.
Have more influence on the outcome of a presidential election than at any time since the 2000 decision in Bush versus Gore. And that's for a couple of reasons. First, Monday, Special Counsel Jack Smith asked the court to bypass the appellate level and make a decision now, crimes committed while in office or is constitutionally protected from federal prosecution when he has been impeached but not convicted before the criminal proceedings begin. The justices have already agreed to fast-track Smith's request that they decide if a rule is appropriate. Trump's lawyers have until next Thursday to respond. As noted in the petition, Trump is scheduled to begin trial before the Honorable Tanya Chutkan in the D.C. District Court on March 4, 2024. Well, the following day, March 5th, is Super Tuesday. Republican voters in 15 states, including California, North Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, and Virginia, will cast their nomination ballots on that day. If that trial date stands, it means Trump's case will be heard 7 months after his indictment, in contrast to many January 6 defendants who will have had nearly 2 years to prepare for trial. And in Trump's case, his lawyers estimate that there are 13 million pages in the discovery process. Here's how Smith justified his expedited request. There was a heading in his petition. It said, "This case warrants this court's immediate review." And he offers this argument in reference to Supreme Court Rule 11, a writ of certiorari before judgment is appropriate when the case is of such imperative public importance as to justify deviation from normal appellate practice and to require immediate determination in this court. As to why the rush, here's what Smith wrote. If appellate review of the decision below were to proceed through the ordinary process in the Court of Appeals, the pace of review may not result in a final decision for many months. Even if the decision arrives sooner, the timing of such a decision might prevent this court from hearing and deciding the case this term. What does that mean? It means Trump could win the election and order all charges be dropped or self-pardon, ending this prosecution forever. Which explains why the coming election of Voldemort of the legal request. Smith no doubt recognizes that there's already a perception among many voters that this prosecution and the other 3 criminal prosecutions, as well as the New York civil fraud case and the several efforts to disqualify Trump under the 14th Amendment, are all providing Trump with a political benefit. How else to explain that in the latest Iowa poll from the Des Moines Register, Trump has 51% of the Republican vote? His next competitor is Ron DeSantis with only 19%, followed by Nikki Haley with only 16%. Or that according to CNN polling, in a head-to-head with President Biden, Trump leads by 10 points in Michigan and 5 in Georgia. A core principle of the DOJ is to never act in a way that will be perceived as political, especially within 60 days of an election. Question: is Jack Smith being political when he acts with an eye toward the election calendar, as is plainly the case here? Or is he simply fulfilling his role as a prosecutor who wants to ensure that a case that he's worked up actually gets to a jury? That is the Rorschach test. And now Smith faces a bigger obstacle than accusations of politicization, the delay and even possible dismantling of his case while SCOTUS reviews the immunity and obstruction charges. As the New York Times reported this week, the obstruction count was never a good fit for what happened on January 6. It was originally passed as part of a corporate governance law that forbade things like destroying documents or tampering with witnesses. But prosecutors used it in lieu of more politically contentious charges like insurrection or sedition to describe how the mob disrupted the election certification at the Capitol. If the Supreme